that you guys hear in different places. So your essential question was, what are the different sounds you hear? And we reviewed the sounds you hear outdoors, at school, and at home. And then there was a song that we reviewed. Now, who remembers the song we reviewed, Andrew? Yes. So now I have it and we can play it. Let's see.
Can we listen to it the first time?
Yep. So listen.
That's like a tuba. Up and down. We're gonna listen to it this time. People on the bus go up and down, all through the town. The wheels on the bus go round and round. Junior. Round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town. We're still listening to it. Lights on the bus go blink, blink, blink. Virginia, blink, blink, blink. Blink, blink, blink. Lights on the bus go blink, blink, blink. All through the town. The horn on the bus goes beep, beep, pop. Beep, beep, beep. Beep, pop, pop. The horn on the bus goes beep, beep, beep. All through the town. Swish, swish, swish. Swish, swish, swish. Swish, swish, swish. The blackbirds on the bus go swish, swish, swish. All through the town. The baby on the bus goes wee, wee, wee.
Good job, guys. So that was our song.
Let's listen to the next one. Oh.
So that song goes with our sounds, our essential question, which is, what are the different sounds you hear? So the different sounds you heard in the song were the horn, the baby, the windshield wipers, the tires going round and round. So when we're thinking of the different sounds that we hear outdoors, at school, and at home, that's one way that we can think of the different sounds that we hear is listening to music, right? Okay, so who remembers the title to this story? Do you guys remember our interactive reading card? Peyton. The turtle and the flute, and it's a tale from Brazil. And in this story, we had some of our vocabulary. We had the word listen. We had the word listen. We had the word exclaimed. We had the word chat, and we had the word familiar. We also had the word volume. So when you're looking at card number 1, I want you to think about this question, and then I'm going to ask someone to answer it for me. Yes, Junior. Who enjoys listening to turtle music in card number 1? Katie.
The little dragonflies.
The dragonflies like listening to the music. Andrew.
The toad.
The toad. Brandon.
The taper.
The taper. And what do they do while they're listening to the music? Gracie, what do they do while they're listening to the music?
They swing around.
Swing around. What else did they do, Katie?
They fly around.
They fly around. Amaya.
They dance.
They dance. Andrew.
They hop.
They hopped. And what did the toad do while he was So I'm going to read a part of this story and then listen. Think for that question I just asked you. I want you to tell me, what does the macaw do and what does the toad do? So, long ago on the banks of the Amazon River, a happy little turtle played her flute all day. She played joyful music that made all the animals sway and hum. They gathered every day to listen. The macaw squawked, I can talk and talk all day, but I'd rather listen to you play, Turtle. I agree, croaked Toad as he swayed to the music on his lily pad. Your music is the nicest in the jungle. So what did the macaw do, Andrew?
Squawk.
The macaw squawked. Gracie, what did the turtle do?
Sing.
Let's ask a friend to help you. Jace, what did the turtle do?
Listen to the.
Yeah, but there was a specific word. It says, I agree. Katie.
Two.
No, it says, I agree, Peyton. The toad croaked. He croaked.
I was gonna say that.
Now I'm going to review this card, and I want you to think about, where does the man take the turtle and who watches the turtle in the cage? So one day after Turtle had played and danced for hours, she was very tired. I think it is time to rest. Good night, my friends, she said as she yawned. After her friends waved goodbye, Turtle curled up inside her shell and her flute tucked in beside her. Soon she was fast asleep. After a few hours, a man walked by. He looked down and saw Turtle sleeping on the riverbank. He decided to take her home. He looked around to make sure nobody was watching. He picked her up and exclaimed, Yum! Turtle soup will make a tasty treat for dinner tonight. The man carefully carried Turtle home. He put her in a sturdy cage in his yard and then closed the lid tightly. His children were playing nearby. They ran over to the cage to see what was inside. Don't let the turtle out of the cage, the man said to them. Tonight we will enjoy delicious turtle soup for our dinner. So, where does the man take the turtle, Brandon?
Home.
The man took the turtle home. And who watches the turtle in the cage? Landon.
The man. Girl.
Andrew. The kids. The kids watch the turtle in the cage. So in card number 3, I want you to think about, what does Turtle try to do and who opens her cage? Then the man went to work in the fields. The children stayed home and played in the yard. Every once in a while, they would peek into the cage and the little turtle. They started to chat about the yummy turtle soup they would have for dinner later. When Turtle woke up, she knew she was not in a familiar place. She was surprised to find herself locked in a cage. She became very frightened when she heard the children say, Turtle soup. I must escape, she thought. She pushed and pulled on the lid of the cage, but it wouldn't budge. Then she had an idea. Turtle reached for her flute and began to play. She played the most beautiful music that she knew. The children stopped to listen. Listen, Turtle was playing the flute. They shouted. They ran over to the cage and watched Turtle play. They began to sway to the beautiful music. I can dance as well as play, said Turtle. I can even play and dance at the same time. If you open the cage, I will show you. The children opened the cage and Turtle started to dance. So, what does Turtle try to do? What did the turtle try to do, Peyton? Yep, tried to budge his way out. And who opens her cage? Gracie.
The girl.
The girl opened the cage. So think about this question. What is the boy doing and how does the turtle get away? Turtle's shell banged against the sides of the cage as she danced. The volume of the flute became louder. The children laughed and clapped. I am still from dancing in this tiny cage. Turtle stopped and said, please let me go for a short walk. The children wanted Turtle to entertain them more, so they let her out. May I try your flute? The boy asked. I would love to play beautiful music too. As the boy played, Turtle crawled away. Don't go too far, his sister warned. Turtle crawled around the yard as the children took turns playing the flute. Soon the children stopped watching, and Turtle crawled closer to the forest. Then she quietly disappeared under a pile of leaves. The children suddenly looked up and noticed that Turtle was gone. Turtle, Turtle, they called. Where are you? But there was no answer. Turtle tricked us, they said. By the time the men returned home from the fields, Turtle was far away, sitting on the banks of the river once again, playing happy tunes on her new flute. So, what is the boy doing? Brenda?
Playing his flute.
Playing Turtle's flute. And how does Turtle get away? Jace.
Crawling really quiet.
Yep, she crawled really quietly into the forest while the kids were distracted. They were distracted. And so we heard some of our vocabulary. Who heard some vocabulary in the story? Peyton, what words did you hear? Listen. What other words, Andrew? Chat. Landon.
Escape.
Escape. Brandon.
Turtle soup.
Turtle soup. That wasn't one of our vocabulary words. But good detail listening. Jace. Listen. And one last word before we break. We went over the vocab words and we have a new high frequency word. Who knows this word? Amaya. And. So this word is and it spells A-N-D. Let's do the letter sounds. A-N-D. A-N-D. Now let's blend it. And. What word is it? And. Good job. Yep. Okay, so blue bear table, you can quietly walk over to your table. Purple bear, you can quietly walk to your table. Green bear, you can quietly walk to your table. Yellow bear, you can quietly walk over to your table. There's two students already sitting at the blue bear table. Okay, so who can tell me what essential question we're working on? Andrew. What are the different sounds you hear? So, Miss Lanowette made you guys a chart. Facing this way. Miss Lanowette made you guys a chart, and you guys talked about sounds you hear outdoors, sounds you hear at school, sounds you hear at home. Who remembers some of those sounds that you guys wrote down on your chart? Peyton. Leaves blowing.
Fox outside.
The fox.
Baby's crying.
Baby's crying.
The one that's on the bottom that starts with a.
Hi, this is my reflection for my third lesson plan video. And this week, the children were or have been learning about their essential question. What are the different noises or sounds you hear
and where do you hear them? And so they've been learning about different sounds, what makes different sounds, such as instruments, noises in the city, noise that you hear at school, noises that you hear at home. And so earlier in the week, they made an organized um, word web, or also a word chart, describing different sounds that they hear. So in the video, part of the video, you will see that I review that with them, and they talk about sounds that they hear at home, or things such as my mom talking, the teacher talking to me. I hear the vents in the classroom. I hear children laughing. I hear children talking. I hear tires, on the car moving. And so there are various different things that they hear through sounds. Um, we did an interactive read aloud card, which was part of our technology. They reviewed the story, The Turtle and the Flute. And the interactive cards, they really like those because at the beginning of the week, we'll just read the story through the book, and then we'll read the story through the interactive cards. And then what you see in the video is you see that I actually will review the card with them. So I'll show them the card and kind of have them retell the story, but then I also will use the interactive cards and ask them questions. So on card one, what do you see in this picture? What is going on in the story at this moment? So that's one thing, that a part of technology that we use. You'll also see the visual vocabulary cards that we use for the vocabulary. So they are able to define, use an example. With the oral vocabulary routine, they will utilize the define, example, and ask. For example, the vocabulary word exclaimed. I would show them the visual card. They would tell me the word. They would say, I would ask them what's the definition. They would say means to have spoken suddenly in surprise, anger, or excitement. They would give an example. You used my bike without asking me, Lisa exclaimed to her sister. Then they would ask, have you ever exclaimed something in excitement? Or I would ask them that question and they would give me an example. So that is their vocabulary. With the interactive word cards, we use those. You'll see in the video that I had utilized the media iPod for the song The Bus. I will show a snippet of that video recording. Initially, it did not load. So that was one of the classroom management issues in my lesson plan, was that it took a while to load. It wouldn't render. So I had to move on because the children were getting restless. But I was able to go back later on in the lesson and bring that piece in, so that they were able to do the song with the music and not just singing it by themselves, because I had told them that they were going to use it with the music. I brought that back into the piece later on in the lesson plan. So that was successful. The other thing was one of my students that was actually in one of my studies for the 8-week observations. She was a bit of a challenge this week. And so throughout the video, you will see me trying to bring her back into focus, bring her back into the lesson plan, as she was getting distracted very easily. So with the classroom management, I just, try and make sure that with the management, being consistent, and then also using the technology to keep their focus, because they tend to stay focused more when you have a technology piece, because it's not the typical um, lesson plan. It's not the typical, I read, I give you information, you express how you're receiving it, whether it be repeating me, answering questions. So bringing in a song that's played on the laptop or the iPad, or bringing in video cards, the visual cards, that they can see the picture because they feel like they're reading the words. Some of the words are very large, so they can't read them. But when you use the visual cards, they are able to recognize them more. So I thought this lesson went very well, and I hope you enjoyed it.